That's my way of, being indecisive, but without it sounding like I'm just indecisive. Oh. All right, Zoom, can you hear me? Thank you. All right, so welcome everybody. It is Sunday morning, November the 1st. Hopefully everyone remembered the time change and nobody joined an hour early. I was thinking about that. It's like, I wonder if I should hop on just in case, but I didn't get any notifications, so hopefully everyone was on time. So let's get started with some nice deep breaths. So find a comfortable seated position, whatever that looks like this morning. And let's take a couple of nice deep breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth. And good morning, Facebook Live. Thank you for joining us. So I want you to sit up nice and tall, but relax your shoulders. So make sure they're not scrunched up. And then bring your right hand high up on your rib cage. Let your left hand fall heavy to the floor behind you. Bring your right ear to your right shoulder. Take a couple of deep breaths in here. So propping up that right side, letting the left fall heavy. You should feel a nice stretch through the back left side of your neck. Back to center, and let's switch sides. So left hand up, right hand heavy to the floor behind you. Left ear to left shoulder. A couple of deep breaths. Again, really letting that right side fall heavy. You should feel a pull through the back right of your neck. Back to center. Inhale, reach up nice and tall with your right hand, lengthening that right side, and then exhale, twist. And continue, reach up the right side, and exhale, twist. One more, really lengthen that right side, reaching up and over, and then exhale, really twist, wring it out like a towel. Back to center, and we'll switch sides. So inhale, reach up the left, and exhale, twist. Again, lengthening that left side. And twist, wring it out like a towel. And one more. And back to center. I'm going to turn lengthwise on my mat. My feet are out at the edges of my mat. If you're not on a regular yoga mat, just sit with your legs straight out in front of you, but open out wider than hip width. Sit up nice and tall to start. Inhale, reach hands up to shoulder height, and exhale, reach down and across to opposite side. Inhale up, exhale down and across. Inhale up tall, and then exhale, hollow out, reach forward. One more each side. Back to center. Feet together in the center of the mat. And we're going to keep those legs active and press down on the mat. Ankles are flexed, toes pointed back towards you. Inhale, reach slightly forward. And then exhale, roll slowly back down onto the mat, placing your spine down on the mat, one vertebrae at a time. Slowly all the way down. And then inhale, reach your hands up overhead. My ball is in the way. I'm going to move that. And then exhale, roll up just as slowly. Peeling up off the mat and all the way forward. And again. This is on your breath, so deep breath in at the top and then slowly exhale as you roll yourself down and back. I'm going to do one more after the one that you're on. And then come on down onto the mat. All right, so we did this yesterday, not in a Pilates class, but I really liked it. I'm just talking this morning about how, so real quick explanation here. So we're all spending so much time hunching over phones and computers and tablets and just hunching forward, books, whatever it is that we're hunching forward. So we did this exercise yesterday of squeezing our shoulder blades together in the back, and it just felt really good, and it felt like it undid like a whole year's worth of that hunching over. So I'd like to do it again in here this morning. So I'm up on my elbows. I'm going to squeeze my shoulder blades together in the back. Now my center is braced in. I'm not just letting it sag, but I'm also not using my core to lift myself up. I'm squeezing those shoulder blades down together and then relax. Let them sag. And then again, squeezing them together and relax. And again, I'm going to do this on breath. So inhale, squeeze them together. Exhale, relax, let your back sag. Inhale again, squeeze those shoulder blades together in the back. Exhale, release, and one more. And then come on down onto your back. And let's find our imprint into the mat. So I want there to be a little forward tilt of your pelvis. Think about pointing your tailbone up towards the sky just a little bit, pressing your low back down onto the mat, and then release. So just little rock and release. And this time, as you press your low back down onto the mat, go ahead and keep it pressed down. And then let's add movement to our breath. So on your next inhale, reach out opposite arm and leg, keeping them low to the floor, keeping that low back pressed down. Back to center. On the exhale, inhale, reach out other side. Again, working to keep your low back pressed down as you alternate sides and reach out. As much space as you can get between your fingers and toes on opposite sides. Last one. And then go ahead and grab your strap. And let's start with it on your right leg. Real quick, walk your hands as far up that leg as you can. Or the strap, I'm sorry, walk your hands as far up the strap as you can. I mean, I guess you can just do it on your leg too. But we're looking for that nice long stretch all the way up down the back of your right leg. So you'll feel it in your hamstrings, you'll feel it behind the knee a little bit, maybe even into your calf. Flex at the ankle so your toes are pointed back down towards you. You'll feel it even more. Release. And then again, bring your toes back towards you. And release. Take hold of both sides of the strap in your right hand and open out to the right side. We're not looking for a spinal twist here. We're just opening up at the hip, back through the center. So work to keep your low back pressed down. Opening out again to the right. And again, out to the right. Back up through the center, out to the left. So you can extend your left leg down and out if you need to. Pull that right leg across to the left side. Again, we're looking for a stretch in the right leg, not a spinal twist. Back to center. And again. And back up to center. And one more. And back up. And switch feet. Starting again with that straight leg stretch. Walk your hands up the strap. Push your heel up towards the ceiling, flex at the ankle, get a little bit more of a stretch, and then release. And then again, pulling back towards you. And release a little bit of that tension. Take a hold of both sides. In your left hand, guide out to the left. Again, working to keep your low back pressed down. Come on back up. And then again out to the left. You can play around here with how high up towards your shoulder you're pulling it, or if you're letting it fall a little lower down towards your feet. One more. Or the bottom of your mat, I guess I should say. Back up through the center and switch. Switch hands, pull across to the right side, looking for a stretch through the back, the left side, the outside of that left leg. Back to center, and again, pulling across. Work to press your low back down. We're not going for a spinal twist. Back to center, and one more. And release. You can set that strap aside, hug your knees in. And then I'm going to grab my ball. If you don't have a Pilates ball, you can use a small pillow. Place it between your knees and bring your legs up to tabletop. So that is knees stacked up over your hips, shins parallel to the floor, ankles flexed, toes pointed back towards you. Open your arms out nice and wide down onto the floor, and you're going to drop both knees out to one side. Gaze turns in the opposite direction. So this time we absolutely are going for a spinal twist. Back up through the center and out to the other side. Back up through the center. Gaze always turns in the opposite direction. Keep those feet apart so your legs are active in tabletop. So don't let your feet collapse in. Don't let them relax. Ankles should be flexed and active. And let's finish this set that we're on. Back to center. I'm going to take that ball between my hands, between my palms. My fingertips are light, so I'm going to be squeezing in on that ball between my palms. Bring those legs back into tabletop. So again, knees stacked up over your hips. Your body's going to want to make this easier and start bringing your knees in towards your chest. Keep thinking about pushing them away, keeping them stacked. Ball between those palms. Inhale, reach up overhead. Low back press down, and exhale. Reach up like you're going to set that ball on your shins. And exhale, squeeze in between your palms. And then inhale back down. Exhale, reaching up. Inhale back down and continue. And really squeezing between your palms. Two more. Release into the center for just a moment. We're going to do another set of those, this time alternating between center, right, center, left, always coming back through the center in between. Same setup, keeping your legs in tabletop, squeezing that ball between your palms, straight arms like you're trying to pop it. So setting up again, legs in tabletop. I'm going to start in the center, out to the right, center, out to the left, and continue. So deep breath in, reaching up overhead. Exhale, reach up through the center, squeeze that ball. Inhale back down, exhale out to the right. We start that alternating. Inhale back to center. And then out to the left. So again, alternating. Center, right, center, left, center. Check in on those legs. Make sure knees are stacked over your hips. Let's finish up in the center here. And release down, set the ball aside for just a moment. Hug those knees in. Hugging those knees, raise your chest and shoulders up towards the ceiling. Extend your left leg out to about 45 degrees from the floor, hugging your right knee in. Inhale and switch. Inhale and switch. Let's transition right into that straight leg. So still inhale to switch, exhale to pull in, but straight leg this time. One more each side. Release down, hug your knees in, little side to side roll. I'm going to pick up my ball again. So we're going to do a version of a dead bug, but with a ball and resistance in the middle. So typical dead bug is legs in tabletop, hands start stacked up over your shoulders, and you alternate reaching out. So that's our typical dead bug. What we're going to do this time though is as you reach one side out, so I'm right leg, left arm reaching out, low back press down, is I'm pushing that ball between my left knee and my right hand. Come back to center and switch. So I'm still reaching out opposite. The difference here is that I'm pushing in opposite. So I'm reaching one opposite, pushing across on the opposite, the other two. That is so confusing to try and say, I'm sorry. I hope it makes sense. So while I'm lengthening one across, I'm also pushing across. So kind of an X. And I really want you to push in between your knee and your palm. And keep switching. Really active here. Low back press down. As you're pushing your foot away, make sure you're pushing with your heel. Let's do one more each side. Back to center. And then place that ball out between your ankles. I'm going to open my arms out really wide down onto the floor for a nice wide base of support. Bring those legs straight up, stacked right up over your hips. Ankles are flexed, toes pointed back towards you. This movement comes all the way from the hip. Your whole leg is going to turn both of them to the right back to the center, and to the left. So you're not just twisting the ball between your legs. You're keeping that ball pressed between your inner ankles, twisting back to center and twisting. So really working. Yeah, looks good. I see a lot of feet in the air on Zoom. I love it. Looks good. So pressing your low back down, twisting out to one side, back to center, twist out to the other, and back to center. Doesn't have to be a big movement. Let's do one more each side. Keep that ball between your ankles. Relax for just a moment, hugging your knees in. Ball between the ankles. We're going to do straight arms and straight legs again. Reaching up into the center. Keep your legs straight. Reach up, take a hold of that ball. Hollow hold, reaching out as far as you can, still keep your low back pressed down, and then come back into the center. Ball between your ankles, and again, so we just keep alternating. When you're doing that hollow hold, make sure to keep your low back pressed down. Only go down so far as you can keep it pressed down. Two more. And bring those knees in. If the ball isn't between your ankles already, go ahead and put it back in there. Releasing for just a moment to get ready for our next. All right, so this time, instead of reaching out opposite, we're going to reach hands up towards our feet as we extend everything upwards. You can, as you inhale, you can reach your hands up overhead as your knees are tucked in. So deep breath in, and then exhale, reach your hands towards your feet. Inhale back down, exhale, reach up a little further. Your shoulders can come up off the mat if you want. Your whole back can raise up off the mat if you want. Or keep most of your back on the floor, whatever works. But I want you to really reach either way. Straight legs as you're reaching. Two more. And last one. And release down. You can set that ball aside, hug your knees in. All right. Find your imprint again down onto the mat so your low back is pressed down again. Take that ball back between your knees. So your feet are about hip width apart, low back pressed down, hands down by your sides. And let's have palms facing up here so you open your shoulders and your chest and you're not gripping the floor. So palms facing up. We're going to do 3 squeezes of that ball between your knees. So squeeze in, 3 squeezes, and then on that 4th squeeze, hold it for a 4 count. And again, 3 big squeezes. And again, if you don't have a pillow, or if you don't have a ball and you're just using a little pillow, that's fine here too. Squeeze it in like you're trying to blow the stuffing out of it. If you have a Pilates ball, you cannot pop it, I promise you. Think of all the times that we've basically sat on this thing and nothing happened. 3 squeezes, 2, 3. On that 4th, hold it for a 4 count. And continue. Let's do a few more of these, really firing up those inner thighs. Last one. All right, set that ball aside, hug your knees in for just a second. I don't want to relax them too much though. And then extend your legs straight up over your hips. So straight legs, ankles flexed, toes pointed back down towards you, and then open out into that V. So your heels are together, toes pointed out. Keep your left foot flat up against the ceiling. Cross your right leg in front of your left 4 times. Heels back together, and then left crosses in front of right. 3, 4. Heels back together. So 4 crosses, 2, 3, 4. Back together. I'm only moving the leg that's crossing in front. The other leg, I'm really working to try and keep it just pressed straight up. So I'm not scissoring. Both legs aren't moving at once. Just one. Keep coming back in the center in that Pilates V. Couple more. It's our last one. And release, hug those knees in. Open your feet out wider than hip width down on the mat. And go ahead and do some windshield wipers, so dropping both of them out to one side and then the other and then the other. So alternating through. Coming back to center, find your imprint. Low back, press down, belly button pull down to your spine. Again, I'd like you to have your hands down by your sides, palms facing up so that your chest and your shoulders are relaxed. Bring your right leg straight up overhead, toes pointed up towards the ceiling, and let's go with some little circles. So really working to press your center down, bracing in. So your torso is quiet on the mat, it's not moving. Switch direction, little circles pointed up at the ceiling. Switch direction, bigger circles. Again, still bracing in your center. You're making bigger circles with your toes, but your torso should be quiet on the mat. Switch direction. Did we do that already? I don't know, maybe we're doing an extra set. I lost track. Back to center, lower that leg halfway down. So I want my thighs to be even with each other. I don't want my right leg up higher or down lower. I'm going to keep it right even. Bracing in the center. I'm having to adjust a little bit to account for this new angle of my leg, and then little circles right here, so right out at that 45-degree angle. Switch direction. Switch direction, big circles. So big sweep all the way up, all the way down. And switch direction. Hug that right knee in for just a moment, and then place the right foot down and switch. Left toes pointed straight up at the ceiling. Brace in your center and start with little circles up on the ceiling. Switch direction, little circles, bracing in your center. Switch direction, big circles up on the ceiling. And switch direction with those big circles. To center and lower that left leg down halfway so your thighs are even with each other, toes pointed away. Adjust as needed to keep your low back pressed down, and little circles here out at 45 degrees. Really bracing in your center. Feel how different it feels to keep everything pressed down when your leg is at this angle than when it's up overhead. Switch direction. Switch direction, big circles, all the way up, all the way down to the floor if you can. Full range of motion. And switch direction, big circles. And back to center, hug that knee in. And hug your right knee in. And then come on up. So take a seat, settle in on your sits bones. And then I want you to rock back just slightly. Bring your heels up off the floor. Find your balance. Keep thinking chest forward. Starting to lighten your hands on your knees and reach out in front of you. Pulling your center in. Start extending your legs out. If you need to take a hold of the sides of your knees lightly with your fingertips, you can, but try to work them out without holding on. And then bring your knees back in. If you can stay balanced without touching your heels down, that's great. If you need to touch your heels down for a second, that's great too. Whatever works. Everyone's in a different place. Even from one day to the next, we're all in a different place. So again, find that balance. Reach your hands, reach your feet out. Keep thinking chest forward, fingertips forward. Release down, feet down onto the mat. Hug your knees in. I'm going to do a nice deep breath in, sitting up nice and tall. And then exhale. Hollow out your belly. Pull back. Get a nice stretch across your back. And inhale back up. And exhale. Hollowing out, pulling back. Inhale, back up tall. And exhale, back out and down. And come on back up. I'm going to flip over onto all fours. Start back in a child's pose. So sit your hips back towards your heels. Reach your fingertips forward. You can play around with your feet and your knees here. See if opening out wider allows you to sit a little deeper. You'll feel a different stretch. This is more of maybe a frog than a child's pose, but you might get a little deeper stretch. So whatever works for you. Again, fingertips forward, really stretching out your back and your shoulders. And then walk your hands out to the right. And I want you to lengthen and reach from both sides. So don't just let the left side reach and collapse on that right side. I want you to also reach the right side. Back through the center. Reach and lengthen. And out to the left. So again, lengthening both sides. Don't just collapse in on the left. Reach with both left and right. And then back to the center. Go ahead and come on up onto all fours. Hands stacked under your shoulders. Knees under your hips. Pull your belly button up towards your spine for a nice, neutral, straight spine. Let's go into a few alternating bird dogs. So reach out opposite arm and leg. I want you to push away with your heel. Your thumb is up towards the sky. Back to center. And opposite side. Working to pull that belly button up towards your spine the whole time. So your back isn't arching. Think about reaching forward rather than up. Pushing away with your heel rather than raising up. That keeps a neutral spine. Pushing away with your heel also engages your glutes more. Let's do one more each side. Last one. And then from all fours, I'm going to reach my left arm under and through. Let's get a nice stretch. Fingertips forward. Back to center. And switch. Just reaching through. Back to center. Drop your hips back. Reach fingertips forward. And then again, reach the left arm under and through. So resting on that left shoulder this time. Really getting a nice stretch through your back, your shoulders. Back through the center. And reach the right arm under and through. And back to center. And take your time. When you're ready, have you come on up. And I'm going to say goodbye to everybody on Facebook. Thank you so much for joining.